Tonight's top stories. The satisfaction rating of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. went up according to a social weather stations or SWS survey. The impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte continues, now on its fifth day. The Sentro Balita orders the conduct of an independent medical evaluation on Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Arguably the greatest Filipino tennis player of all time, Alex Ayala continues her rise in the WTA rankings. All these and more on PTV News Tonight. Good evening. Welcome to PTV News Tonight. Government's dirt cheap BBM rice distribution nationwide, the expanded kadiwa ng Pangula outlets throughout the country, the payout to the public transport sector during the Mid-East energy crisis, the LGU-centric Ulat Bayan Makikinabang Assistance Program, and other social protection schemes have all made a dent in providing relief to the lives of indigents and those living in the margins. And these beneficiaries remember and give the president his due credit, as evidenced by the results of the latest major pollster survey, which our Carlo Luis Candelaria hashes over in this report.
More Filipinos said they are satisfied with the performance of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. according to the latest survey conducted by the Social Weather Stations or SWS. The president's satisfaction rating rose to 38% in June, up from 33% recorded in the first quarter of the year. His net satisfaction rating also improved across all major regions of the country, with the highest rating recorded in Balance Luzon at positive 11. The president also registered a higher net satisfaction rating among respondents who believe he is serving the interests of the poor. The survey was conducted from June 20 to 29 among 1,200 adult Filipinos nationwide. Under the Marcos administration, some of the programs being implemented include the Kadiwa ng Pangulo program and the Uplift program, which was launched during the height of the Middle East conflict. Through these initiatives, the government provided various forms of financial assistance, social protection programs, and other measures aimed at easing the financial burden on Filipino families. Tricycle driver Ronald said he is grateful for the assistance he received during the height of the oil crisis. He said that the 5,000 pesos cash relief assistance helped pay for therapy, milk, and diapers for his child with autism. He also had a message for the president.
Basta pagpatuloy niyo lang, huwag niyo intindihin yung mga nakapaligid sa kanya at saka mga maaway sa kanya. Maraming salamat, mahal na Pangulo.
Meanwhile, Alona, a mother of several children, said she has been able to save more on her household expenses through the 20 peso per kilo rice sold under the Kadiwa ng Pangulo program. She expressed her gratitude to the government for the program, which has helped families like hers stretch their daily budget.
Ako marami kong anak. Maganda, nakakaano siya ng budget. Kasi nakakatulong siya kasi mura lang yung bigas. Salamat po kay President Marcos sa programang Kadiwa na murang bigas.
Jeepney driver Jason was also among the beneficiaries of the government's Uplift program, receiving a 10 peso per liter diesel discount and 5,000 pesos in financial assistance. He said the discount and cash aid provided much-needed relief when rising fuel prices affected their livelihood, and expressed his appreciation to the president.
Malaking bagay din sa amin na kasi dagdag na rin yun sa aming pangkabuhayan. Sa pamilya ko, pinambili ng bigas, sa kung ano-ano na po. Saka maraming salamat sa mga naitulong niya sa amin, sa lahat ng mga tao.
Despite the various challenges facing the country, the government continues to expand programs aimed at improving the quality of life of Filipinos. Carlo Luis Candelaria for The Nation.
The world's largest solar energy and battery storage facility is situated right here at home, Terra Firma. And today, the president led the first phase launching of the M-Terra solar project in Nueva Ecija, which ultimately will help power and light up close to 2.5 million homes with clean, renewable energy from the sun once full operations kick in. Our Clazel Pardilla has more.
Nestled in the hills of Barangay Puting Tubig, Gapan City, Nueva Ecija, row upon row of solar panels stretch as far as the eye can see, soaking up the sun's light and turning it into clean electricity. This is the Emtera Solar Project, the world's largest integrated solar and battery storage facility. Today, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. led the inauguration of Phase 1 of the landmark project. The facility is now delivering 750 megawatts of renewable energy to the Luzon grid, providing electricity to around 700,000 households.
This facility will be capable of delivering up to 3,500 megawatts peak of solar power to the grid. It is supported by 4,500 megawatt hours of battery storage capacity. These capabilities will help strengthen the stability of our power system while expanding the role of clean energy in our power generation mix.
Once the Emtera Solar Project is fully completed, it will provide clean electricity to more than 2,400,000 families. According to President Marcos, from July 2022 to May 2026, the administration has approved more than 600 renewable energy contracts, which will generate 45 gigawatts of power. This formed part of the administration's push to reduce the country's dependence on imported coal and other fossil fuels used for power generation. They are expected to help shield the country from global shocks like the crisis in the Middle East, which disrupted energy supplies and drove up electricity prices.
Ito kahit walang ulan, this will go on, and at kagandahan nito may battery siya. Mas stable siya, at ang sunod yan dahil dito sa system nila and sa laki ng project, eventually ipupush niyang bumaba yung presyo din ng electricity.
Beyond the shift to clean energy, the project is also expected to cut thousands of tons of carbon emissions while creating more jobs and economic opportunities for Filipinos.
The project is projected to generate nearly 23 billion pesos in financial benefits. And as operations expand, we look forward to even greater opportunities for our people, more jobs, stronger local government revenues, and sustained programs that promote community development.
Kaleizal Pardilia for the Nation.
On the fifth day of the impeachment trial against Vice President Sara Duterte, NBI BARM Regional Director Jeremy Lotoc returned to the impeachment court's witness stand for the continuation of the cross-examination. Significant portions of the hearing focused on the alleged Operation Romanov. Director Lotoc testified that the NBI's investigation found no evidence of an actual operation by that name. During questioning by Senator Judge Raffy Tulfo, it was established that the term originated from Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte, who referenced the historical execution of the Russian imperial family as a warning to the first family. The defense attempted to validate statements made by Vice President Duterte during a November 2024 press briefing. However, presiding officer Senator Francis Chis Escudero intervened, ruling that Lotoc could only testify to the fact that these statements were made not to validate their factual truth, as the witness was not present at the time. The House prosecution panel remains confident in the substance of the testimony, arguing that the defense's focus on technical and clerical errors does not diminish the integrity or weight of the evidence presented. The trial continues as the court examines additional documents related to the grave threats covered by the Article 4 of Articles of Impeachment.
During the fifth day of the impeachment trial, the House prosecution panel countered the defense's interrogation of NBI evidence and debunked claims regarding an alleged plot called Oplan Romanov, while simultaneously announcing the removal of two witnesses from their list for Article 4 proceedings. Sheila Natividad has more in this report.
Marami po silang rason, marami po silang katanungan, nalilito po ang taong bayan. This was how the prosecution panel described the defense team after it raised multiple questions during the cross-examination of NBI Regional Director Attorney Jeremy Lotoc, several of which were met with objections from Private Prosecutor Attorney Amando Virgil Ligutan. House Trial spokesperson Representative Zia Alonto Adyong stood firm that there is only one question the defense should seek to answer.
Karapat-dapat ba manatili ang Vice Presidente despite the fact na yung kanyang mga pinagsasabi constitute a betrayal of public trust?
The cross-examination mainly focused on the typographical errors committed by Attorney Lotoc during his presentation of documents related to the authentication of VP Duterte's video from her 2024 online press conference. House Prosecution Panel legal spokesperson and Private Prosecutor Attorney Benjamin J. Tolosa Jr. said these corrections do not affect the issue of the alleged grave threats under Article 4 of the impeachment complaint and were merely honest mistakes.
Ito bang mga sinasabing maling spelling, maling petsa, maling docket number, no? Meron bang epekto ito dun sa seryosong usapin ng pagtataksil sa tiwala ng bayan sa pamamagitan ng pagkakaroon, no, ng agreement, no, sa isang mamatay tao na patayin ng presidente?
The defense also claimed during the trial that the Vice President had allegedly received threats to her life, linking this to the alleged Oplan-Romanov plot first mentioned by Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte.
Sa aming paniwala, hindi dapat ginagamit ito ng defense, no, na merong Oplan-Romanov against the Vice President because it was never. It was, kaya nga kino-confirm ng NBI, nag-imbestiga sila. Sinulatan din ng ating pangalawang Pangulo to shed light on what she knows about this Oplan-Romanov kasi it appears na sinasabi nila it was a threat to the Vice President.
Prosecutor Terry Ridon has also debunked the Romanov claims, stating that only Mayor Duterte coined the term and that there was no operation against the Duterte family. Romanov refers to the last imperial dynasty of Russia, whose members were executed with their immediate family during the Russian Revolution in 1918. On the other hand, the prosecution panel maintains that the defense failed to impeach the testimony of Attorney Lotoc.
Hindi po na-impeach yung kanyang mga sinabi dahil siya po ay nagpatunay dun sa mga previous statements made by J.M. Kalilong. No? Pinatunayan na authentic ang video, pinatunayan na dumaan sa isang proseso sa protocol ng National Bureau of Investigation.
Meanwhile, Private Prosecutor Attorney Lorna Capunan said the prosecution panel has removed OVP Chief of Staff Attorney Zulaika Lopez and Captain Belinda Bello from its witness list for the presentation of Article 4 of the impeachment complaint. Sheila Natividad, for The Nation.
In the meantime, with his physical health having substantially improved from a week-long bout of high stress, hypertension, and even a mild bout of pneumonia thrown in, Senator Rodante Marcoleta is nearing full recovery and poised for a trip to the Sandigan Bayan for tomorrow's arraignment. Our Ryan Lisigas narrates the preparation for the senator's appointment tomorrow to include X-ray and angiogram scanning today at the UP PGH.
Senator Rodante Marcoleta was in a wheelchair when he was taken out of his room at the PNP General Hospital this morning before being transported in a PNP coaster vehicle to the UP Philippine General Hospital. This came after the Sandigan Bayan 3rd Division ordered the senator to undergo an independent medical evaluation to determine his actual medical condition. He was also handcuffed and wearing a detainee shirt when he was brought to UP PGH.
I choose to believe that it's not, rather than doubting yung evaluation po ng ating mga doctors dito, ay ginawa po ito ng Sandigan Bayan para po ma-erase na nga any doubts from the public. Yung doubts at yung agam-agam ng ating publiko. So nagkakaroon na ng question siguro dahil nga sa evaluation ng ating mga doctors. So this will definitely show kung ano po talaga ang status ni Senator Marcoleta.
The convoy left the PNP General Hospital for UPPGH shortly after 11 a.m. As part of his security detail, Marcoleta was also made to wear a bulletproof vest. According to Acting Chief PIO Police Colonel Allen Rayco, the vest was intended to protect the senator from any possible incident while in transit.
Siguro obvious naman po yung vest. Protection po sa kanya yan. Any eventuality. We plan for any eventuality. Lahat po ng contingency ay pinagpaplanuhan natin. Of course, personal protection po ng ating senador.
The Sandigan Bayan also directed UPPGH Director Dr. Gerardo Ligaspi to submit his medical report to the court tomorrow, July 15. The PNP once again maintained it has not afforded Marcoleta any special or VIP treatment despite his more than a week in their custody.
He was specifically committed not to a jail yet but sa CIDG. So, incumbent upon us na pag mayroon pong nakakustudiya sa amin, may naramdaman, may masamang pakiramdam o may sakit, ay siyempre, ano pang gagawin natin? Kundi dadalhin natin sa ospital. And yung rooms naman dito, wala namang, if I remember correctly, ay wala naman dito yung mga VIP rooms na ano talaga, yung normal rooms lamang. So, doon po siya dinala at doon po siya nagpapagaling.
Marcoleta spent only about an hour at the UPPGH where he underwent X-ray and a 2D echocardiogram tests. According to CIDG NCR Chief Police Colonel John Giyagi, the senator's laboratory results were declared normal despite a slight increase in his blood pressure. Marcoleta has been declared fit to travel, paving the way for his transfer to the Sandigan Bayan tomorrow. Ryan Lisiges for The Nation.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, is demanding an official response from the Chinese Embassy and the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs regarding recent statements made by Chinese scholars claiming the island province of Batanes is part of China. This amidst the continuous reticence of Chinese government on the issue. The Philippines has previously dismissed such assertions as disinformation. The AFP also noted that over the past 3 years, they have monitored illegal passages of Chinese research vessels in the Batanes area, which have been addressed by assets of the Philippines. The AFP emphasized the need for clarity, stating that if these claims are not refuted, they could be misrepresented as the official position of the Chinese government.
Without any pushback, this will become the official party stand. And it would now become part of their pushback towards the Philippines. It is very important that statements like this should be answered not only by the embassy here, but by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Kung talagang wala silang kinalaman dyan.
Efforts to discredit and smear the NBI chief are on overdrive online by trolls and agents of disinformation, seeking to twist his request for an earlier date to take the witness stand as excuse to skip his appointment outright. Thus, NBI Director Melvin Matibag issued a clarification statement earlier in the day, citing he is good to go anytime, even before his slated subpoena date, as our Elijah Canlas reports.
NBI, or National Bureau of Investigation Director Melvin Matibag, denied reports, claiming he is unprepared to testify at the Senate impeachment trial against Vice President Sara Duterte. He said this is a misimpression regarding his request to move his testimony to an earlier date.
Sa Lunes yan, I'll be appearing on Monday. Actually, I'd just like to correct the impression that ako'y humihingi na mapuspone. Katunayan, ang aking sulat, I'm respectfully requesting na kung maaari mapaaga yung aking pagtestigo. Kasi nakaschedule ako on the 3rd week.
According to Matibag, he requested that his schedule to testify be moved to an earlier date so he can attend a regional scam summit in Bangkok, Thailand. The event partnered with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, and the Royal Thai Police will run from July 21 to 22. He emphasized the importance of the summit to the country and the rare opportunity to meet high-ranking officials from the United States.
Nire-request ko sana itong week na to, sana today hanggang tomorrow, makapagtistigo ako because meron akong imbitasyon sa Bangkok. Yung sa Scam Summit ito. Gano'n ka-importante ito? This is one of the occasion kung saan yung ating pag-stay out of the gray list dun sa money laundering, may point system kasama sana to. And the best part dito, kaya ako personal na gustong pumunta, yung opportunity na magkaroon kami ng side meeting ni Director Kash Patel na ina-arrange nung mga counterparts namin from the FBI sa US Embassy.
Although a heated discussion ensued in court, where Senator Judges Alan Peter Cayetano and Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian criticized his seeming dictation of the Senate's calendar, the director immediately clarified the matter.
I respectfully requested, hindi po ako nagdidikta, and I think wala po tayong poder na magdikta. We have high regards to the impeachment court and to the members of the impeachment court. The senator judges, the prosecution, and the defense.
He also clarified that he is willing to appear voluntarily even without a subpoena, as the trial remains his priority.
Don't have to wait for the subpoena because under the law, yung subpoena naman is the way of the court to compel a witness to be present. Kung voluntary ka naman pupunta, hindi naman na kailangan ng subpoena. Pero yun na nga, nakikiusap lang sana ako para parehas kong mapuntahan yung dalawang pangyayari na yan. Kung pwede sana na mapaaga. Hindi mo maatras, mapaaga.
His testimony is expected to center on the NBI's official investigation and findings regarding the controversial online threats by Vice President Sara Duterte against the first couple and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Elijah Canlas for The Nation.
As the Supreme Court continues to weigh the constitutionality of unprogrammed appropriations in the 2024 to 2026 national budgets, Solicitor General Darlene Berabe defended the Congress power of the purse, while friend of the court, Franklin De Rolon, argued that such funds are a necessary practical component of the budget preparation process. Gab Villegas gets us up to speed in today's oral argument.
The Supreme Court on Tuesday resumed oral arguments on the 4 consolidated petitions questioning the constitutionality of unprogrammed funds and special accounts in the 2024, 2025, and 2026 General Appropriations Act. Solicitor General Darlene Berabe explained that the judiciary has no jurisdiction to interfere with Congress's power of the purse unless a grave abuse of discretion is proven. She also clarified that funds from programmed appropriations cannot be transferred to unprogrammed appropriations because their sources of funding are different. She also noted that it is not advised to combine the two categories into a single classification.
The unprogrammed appropriations entirely is based on something that the executive is not prepared to commit, and it is actually saying that it is not targeting, and the funding for the unprogrammed appropriations will be dependent on the excess of anyone in the non-tax revenue based on the latest GAA provision, Your Honor, because every year the triggers might also vary.
Meanwhile, former Senate President Franklin De Rolon, who was appointed as amicus curiae or friend of the court, said that unprogrammed appropriations are not explicitly contained in the Constitution. He said it was created out of necessity and is part of the national budget preparation process through the Bicameral Conference Committee. He added that it is included in the National Expenditure Program submitted by the executive to Congress.
That the inclusion or the funding of those unprogrammed appropriations are contingent upon certain conditions. The Constitution does not provide for the unprogrammed appropriation, and therefore this is part of the power of the state to appropriate. And it is our respectful submission, Your Honor, that this is a plenary power of Congress, and that cannot be restricted, but it doesn't mean that the use of such power cannot be corrected, and that is why there is the power of this honorable court to correct abuses of discretion on the part of the branches of government.
Gab Villegas for The Nation.
Fresh from last night's homecoming reception and recognition for pro tennis sensation Alex Ayala at Malacanang, the president followed through with the sports development agenda by paying a visit to inspect the facilities of the National Academy of Sports in New Clark City earlier today. And as our Kenneth Paciente reports, the president liked what he saw and even more what he heard from those who trained at the facility.
Luke draws inspiration from his cousin double Olympic gold medalist Carlos Yulo. That is why he began training in artistic gymnastics when he was still in grade 7. Now in grade 12, the National Academy of Sports or NAS in New Clark City, Capas, Tarlac has played a significant role in his 5 years of training.
Nakatulong po siya sa akin kasi po hindi po maganda po yung facilities namin, tapos yung free po lahat ng mga dorm tsaka pagkain po. Tapos sa scholarship po, very grateful po ako sa scholarship na to.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. personally inspected the various facilities of the National Academy of Sports. During the inspection, the president toured the Academic Learning Center where student athletes attend classes, as well as a strength and conditioning room, taekwondo gym, table tennis court, and badminton facilities. The student athletes also showcased their talent and skills in gymnastics for the president.
Well, natuwa siya sa pasilidad. I think first time niya dito. At sinabi ko sa kanya, nakamodelo ito dun sa Philippine High School for the Arts nung kanyang tatay. Magkaroon ng Philippine High School for Sports na pinangalang National Academy for Sports. So tuwan-tuwa siya at prioridad din niyang palakasin ng sports dito sa ating bansa. Dito sa DepEd, parang we have 100 new sports clubs and facilities through the Office of the President and the Philippine Sports Commission.
According to the Department of Education, 246 student athletes are currently enrolled at the National Academy of Sports for school year 2026 to 2027. They receive free secondary education, boarding accommodations, meals, strength and conditioning support, and a monthly allowance of 3,000 pesos.
Ayun ang sabi ni Pangulo. Ngayon talaga makakapag-training sila kasi dati nakikipasabay pa sila sa publiko. Ito dedicated facility para sa mga atleta lang talaga.
The department also emphasized that the program helps steer young people away from vices and violence.
Siyempre pag bata, maraming energy, kailangan i-redirect i-rechannel yung energy na yun to positive activities. So, imbis na plugging computer games, siguro physical activity is good for the youth.
Nakatulong po talaga ito sa akin na mas mapagaling po, mas mapabilis po yung skills ko po. Tapos po, it really helped me shape up my swimming career po.
Sobrang laking tulong po ng nasa akin. Since grade 7 po kasi dito na ako nag-aral. So dito ko na rin po tatapusin yung senior high school years ko po.
In 2025 alone, student athletes from the National Academy of Sports won a total of 1,029 medals, prompting plans to expand the academy.
When the academy was enacted into the law, that a regional NAS campus should be established. So we're started to fix the guidelines for that. And the mandate is to have in the next 5 years either one in Visayas or one in Mindanao.
Several local government units are also expected to partner with the National Academy of Sports to further strengthen sports development in their respective areas. Kenneth Paciente for the Nation.
Several banks and e-wallet providers in the country have reported a transaction volume increase of up to 50% following the decision to waive or lower interbank transfer fees for InstaPay and PesoNet. This according to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP. BSP Deputy Governor Mamerto E. Tangonan explained that reducing or eliminating these fees is a strategic move to promote financial inclusion. He noted that high transfer costs have long acted as a barrier preventing many Filipinos from adopting digital banking. To address this, the BSP is encouraging lenders to achieve fee parity, ensuring interbank transfer costs are not materially higher than those for internal transactions. The BSP remains committed to its 2028 goal to have 70% of all retail payments conducted through digital channels. In the meantime, Philippine bank assets hit a record 30.44 trillion pesos at the end of May 2026. This driven by a surge in corporate and retail borrowing. This as clients proactively locked in credit ahead of expected increases in global interest rates and commodity costs. Preliminary data from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP show a 1.1% growth from the 30.12 trillion pesos recorded in April. The banking sector's loan portfolio, which includes interbank loans and reverse repurchase agreements, reached 16.95 trillion pesos, reflecting a 1.7% month-on-month increase. Meanwhile, total banking liabilities jumped 26.85 trillion pesos, which consists of 83.1% of deposit liabilities. Lending growth among major banks also reached a 15-month high of 12.1% in May, underscoring resilient demand from businesses and households.
The Employers Confederation of the Philippines is calling for expanded PhilHealth benefits for direct contributors who regularly pay premiums to the state health insurer. The group said paying members contributed billions of pesos to the system but received fewer claims compared to subsidized members. It also urged PhilHealth to remove the 24-hour confinement rule following the case of a patient who was denied benefits before his death. Meanwhile, health groups warned that giving higher benefits to paying members could create inequality and said the government should provide proper funding to strengthen healthcare coverage for all Filipinos. Coming up this early, arguably the greatest Filipino tennis player of all time, Alex the GOAT Iyala rises anew in the rankings. We'll reveal how high she climbed after a quick break.
Sa harap ng sambayanan, subaybayan ang mahalagang paglilitis sa pangalawang Pangulo ng Pilipinas. The Impeachment Trial, katotohanan, pananagutan, katarungan. Isang special coverage hatid ng inyong People's Television. Matutunghayan live mula sa Senate Plenary Hall. At hihimayin ang mga pangyayari upang higit na maunawaan ang proseso ng impeachment. Panoorin sa Free TV at sa lahat ng aming digital platforms. Tutukan ang bawat pagdinig, pakinggan ang bawat pahayag sa ngalan ng katotohanan, pananagutan at katarungan dito sa inyong PTV.
Ano po yung nakikita ninyo sa mga pahayag at sa surrounding circumstances para tignan ito bilang posibleng inciting to sedition at hindi lamang ito pumapasok dun sa tinatawag na political criticism?
Kinonsider namin sino yung utterer, the Vice President, the second highest official of the land. Then pangalawa, kinonsider namin ano ba yung mga inutter ng Vice President. And then pangatlo, ano ba yung surrounding circumstances like naging reaksyon nung recipient nung utterances or threats. In inciting to sedition, Your Honor, specifically in the case of People versus Nabong, it is not necessary na magkaroon ng actual sedition. The law also penalizes if the seditious words would encourage people to do illegal acts or to overthrow government.
for our next food crawl.
Palabiro lang ang sinungaling talaga. Hanggang sa loob ng meat, may flavor. Ang sarap.
Tara na sa another Chibugan kasama ang certified foodie na si Joshua Garcia.
Teka lang. Kumain na si Carlo.
Ngayong linggo, alas 10:30 ng umaga.
Konti lang sa'yo kasi sa akin to. Ang damot na naman sa shawarma.
Dito lang sa PTV.
The existence of these typographical errors does not alter the fact that the video exists, that the Vice President uttered those statements, na ang NBI mayroong findings, at ang findings nila, the Vice President committed the crime of grave threats and inciting to sedition.
Susunod sa Schoolmates. Napapanahon na bang bumalik ang Pilipinas sa ICC o International Criminal Court? Pakinggan ang opinyon ng mga schoolmates natin sa Nemesio Ayabut Senior High School, Makati.
Philippines should rejoin the International Criminal Court because of the principle of complementarity, which strengthens accountability without undermining Philippine sovereignty.
Ayusin muna natin kung anong problema natin bago tayo muling bumalik sa ICC.
If wala pong ICC sa Pilipinas natin, how can we ensure na ma-achieve yung justice if hindi po na-prosecute, if may impunity po na na-develop?
Sa bawat issue, may boses ang kabataan. Schoolmates, Webes ng gabi, dito lang sa PTV.
NBI Regional Director Jeremy Lotok returned to the impeachment court's witness stand for the fifth day of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial, where discussion focused on the origins of the alleged Operation Romanov and the legal scope of the Vice President's prior statements. Marcos Sadi tells us more in this report.
On the fifth day of the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte, the defense panel continued its cross-examination of NBI Regional Director Attorney Jeremy Lotok. During the hearing, Defense Counsel Attorney Mark Vinduan presented a portion of Vice President Duterte's online press briefing held on November 23, 2024, which discussed the so-called Operation Romanov and the alleged statements that serve as the basis for the grave threats complaint. Prosecution panel member Attorney Amanda Virgil Ligutan immediately objected to the playing of the video, arguing that the defense failed to identify its source. The defense responded that the video had already been marked as evidence in the impeachment trial. Vinduan then asked Lotok whether he could confirm that the statements made by Vice President Duterte in the video had actually occurred.
Your Honor, we invited the media personalities who have personal knowledge on that date and on that online press conference. And nung tinanong namin sila kung nag-participate sila, sabi nila yes, nakausap nila yung Vice Presidente, nagbigay sila ng mga katanungan. So definitely yes, nangyari po yun.
Presiding Officer Francis Cheese Escudero appeared confused by the defense's line of questioning. Escudero said the witness could not testify to the truth of the Vice President's statements.
They can only testify as to the fact that those statements were made, only as to tenor, but not as to the truth, given that he only investigated and was not there.
Senator Judge Rafi Tulfo also asked Lotok about the origin of the term Operation Romanov. Lotok said he first heard the term from Davao City Mayor Sebastian Baste Duterte during a maisug rally in Davao City.
Ang tanong ko ngayon kay Mr. Witness, matatandaan po ba kung ano yung sinabi ni Mayor Baste Duterte patungkol dun sa Romanov that night?
Mr. President, sabi niya, remember what happened to the Romanovs. If I'm not mistaken, sir, parang ang sinasabi niya, kasi mayroong...
No, I think when you go to bed tonight, continue.
Yes, sir, yan. Sabi po yan.
Okay.
When you go to bed tonight, think about the Romanovs. Yun po yata yung pagkasabi. Parang sinasabi niya na baka mangyari sa pamilya niyo yon gaya ng nangyari sa inyo noong 1996.
Nagtataka ako na binanggit yan ni Princess Maui doon sa press conference, sa online press conference ni VP Sara, yung Romanov na banta for Sara Duterte, when in fact, it was Baste Duterte ang nabitaw ng salita na yon, warning sa first family.
He added that based on the NBI's investigation, there was no verified Operation Romanov and that they believe the term originated from Mayor Duterte's statements. The defense also said that Princess Maui was the one who asked Vice President Duterte about Operation Romanov during the online press briefing, adding that they had no knowledge of Mayor Duterte's earlier statements about the term. Meanwhile, Senator Judge Panfilo Ping Lacson emphasized that based on the testimony presented during the hearing, Operation Romanov referred to an alleged threat against the first family. Senator Judge Vicente Tito Soto III sought to clarify the scope of the case against Vice President Duterte, particularly the allegations of grave threats and inciting to sedition. In response to Soto's questions, Lotok said the complaints had not yet reached the courts and were still under preliminary investigation. Another video of an interview with Vice President Duterte conducted on November 26, 2024 was also presented during the hearing. Lotok explained what he described as the Vice President's emotional state when she made the statements and maintained that they should not be taken as a joke. Senate President and Senator Judge Sherwin Gatchalian asked Lotok what evidence the NBI had to support its belief that Vice President Duterte had allegedly contracted someone to kill the individuals who were the subjects of the alleged threats. Lotok said the NBI based its conclusion on the Vice President's statements during the November 23, 2024 online press briefing, as well as her subsequent remarks in the November 26, 2024 interview. Meanwhile, Lotok admitted that there were some typographical errors in the documents submitted as evidence, but insisted that they were not substantial and did not affect the results of the NBI's investigation. He added that the errors did not alter the content of the video in which Vice President Duterte allegedly made the statements in question. Marco Sadi for The Nation.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has submitted the ad interim appointments of several armed forces of the Philippines, or AFP generals and flag officers, to the Commission on Appointments, or CA, for confirmation. The list of appointees include Jerem Aragones for the rank of Major General, Daryl R. Bañez and Vincent Arnold O.D. for the rank of Brigadier General, Edwin Nera for the rank of Rear Admiral, and Neralito Martinez for the rank of Commodore. The public may submit objections or oppositions by contacting the Commission on Appointments or visiting their office in Pasay City.
PVOLX continues to monitor Ngayon volcano after recording 249 volcanic earthquakes and 285 rockfall events. The volcano remains under alert level 3 with continuing warnings on possible hazards. Authorities are preparing contingency measures as 488 families remain in evacuation centers. Residents near the volcano are advised to stay alert and follow safety guidelines.
The Department of Labor and Employment distributed livelihood tools and equipment to 219 beneficiaries in Albay to help strengthen their sources of income. A total of 9.26 million pesos worth of equipment was farmed out for various livelihood activities such as dressmaking, fishing, food processing, and carpentry. The program aims to provide more stable livelihoods for vulnerable and marginalized communities. Local authorities will also monitor the beneficiaries and support the creation of cooperatives to sustain their businesses. 3 barangays in Lake Cebu, South Cotabato have experienced a fish kill that is blamed for significant losses among fish farmers and led to a drop in tilapia prices in local markets. Authorities said the incident was triggered by unfavorable weather conditions that resulted in lower dissolved oxygen levels in the water. The Municipal Agriculture Office continues to assess the extent of the damage and monitor water parameters to determine the condition of the lake. Officials are also coordinating with affected fish farmers to provide assistance and are hoping that improved weather conditions will help prevent the fish kill from worsening. now give you the latest buzz here at Pop Culture Corner. First up, Cup of Joe is set to bring its Stardust tour to Australia this October following the band's announcement on Instagram. Additional details, including tour dates and venues, are expected to be announced soon. The Australian shows come after the band's successful sold-out concerts at the Araneta Coliseum and their historic performance at the Philippine Sports Stadium earlier this year. Cup of Joe continues to expand its international reach following its recent performance in Japan and the success of its hit song Multo, which became Spotify's most streamed OPM song in February. Next up, Gong Yu is set to visit Manila as part of its 2026 Asian Fan Meeting Tour titled The Long Take. His agency, Management Soup, announced the tour on Instagram with additional stops in Seoul, Jakarta, Yokohama, Bangkok, and Macau, although the event dates have not yet been revealed. Along with the announcement, Gong Yu shared a heartfelt handwritten message thanking fans for their continued love and expressing his excitement to create new memories with them. The award-winning South Korean actor is best known for his roles in Coffee Prince, Goblin, Squid Game, and the blockbuster film Train to Busan.
In other news, one may well cross out G. Araneta Avenue as among the most notorious flood hotspots in the mega city. After a week-long string of monsoon-induced downpours last week, residents living along G. Araneta Avenue have expressed relief and appreciation over significantly reduced flooding in their areas as a result of government's latest drainage improvement project. One the president personally inspected 2 weeks ago, as we hear more from our Carlos Luis Candelaria.
Following last week's heavy rains in Metro Manila brought about by the southwest monsoon enhanced by Typhoon Inday, several flood control projects across the metropolis were put to the test. One of these is the upgraded drainage system along G. Araneta Avenue, particularly in Barangay Tatalon, Quezon City, an area long known for frequent flooding. According to longtime residents and business owners in the area, the flow of flood waters has significantly improved since the completion of the flood control and drainage rehabilitation projects. Leia, a sari-sari store owner who has lived in Barangay Tatalon for 30 years, said the difference was especially noticeable during the recent heavy rains, with floodwaters receding much faster than before.
Kasi nung mga nagdaang panahon, nung mga nagdaang taon, kapag mga 5 minutes to 10 minutes na malakas ang ulan, talagang kami dito bumabaha. So na-observe namin nung mga nagdaang araw na kalakasan ng ulan, hindi siya ganun hindi talaga siya ganun kataas. Hanggang dyan lang umaan siya, samantalang dati, dyan na sa tinatayuan mo. Sa ngayon talaga, may kunting talaga. Pasalamat din kami kay BBM na ganun yung ginagawa niya.
Imelda, meanwhile, said floodwaters used to reach the roof of their house during typhoons and prolonged heavy rain. She said the improved drainage system has been a huge relief as floodwaters now subside much more quickly.
Mas okay naman po ngayon kaysa nung dati. Kasi dati po talagang nasa bubong na po kami, pero ngayon medyo naman po okay lang. Hindi naman po kami lumilikas, nandito lang po kami.
The drainage rehabilitation project along Araneta Avenue was among the infrastructure projects personally inspected by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. to ensure its proper implementation. Under the project, the drainage system's capacity was expanded through the installation of larger drainage pipes to improve the flow of rainwater and help reduce flooding in the area. Today, residents say they feel more at ease whenever heavy rains hit. The project shows that when public infrastructure is properly implemented, Filipinos are able to benefit from public funds through projects that directly address their needs. Carlo Luis Candelaria for The Nation.
Alexi's historic Wimbledon campaign has paid off as the Filipino tennis star reached a new career high in the WTA rankings, continuing to rewrite Philippine tennis history. Alexiala climbed to a new career high of world number 28 in the latest Women's Tennis Association or WTA rankings. The 21-year-old Filipina moved up 4 spots from world number 32, surpassing her previous career best of number 29, which she achieved in March following her round of 16 finish at the WTA 1000 Indian Wells Open. Ayala's latest milestone came after another impressive campaign at Wimbledon, where she became the first Filipino to reach the fourth round of the prestigious Grand Slam tournament. She opened her run with a straight sets victory over Mexico's Renata Zarazua before rallying past Australia's Maya Joint in a gritty comeback win. The highlight of her Wimbledon campaign came in the third round, where she upset defending champion and world number 3 Iga Swiatek in what is considered one of the greatest victories in Philippine tennis history. Although her run ended in the round of 16 with a loss to Italy's Jasmine Paolini, Ayala once again proved that Filipino tennis can compete with the world's elite while continuing to elevate the sport on the international stage. A Filipino-descended gamer stole the spotlight on the international stage as Matthew Cryucel's Panganiban led 100 Thieves to the Esports World Cup title. Matthew Cryucel's Panganiban was named the most valuable player after leading 100 Thieves to the 2026 Esports World Cup Championship in Paris. 100 Thieves completed an unbeaten run throughout the tournament, capping their dominant campaign with a victory over NRG in the grand finals. In addition to the championship, Cryucels received MVP honors after delivering a series of standout performances that propelled his team to the title. The triumph marks another milestone for esports and adds to the growing list of international achievements by athletes of Filipino heritage.
Our food for thought tonight comes from Doug Larson, an American columnist best known for his witty observations on life, work, learning, and human nature. His quotations continue to be widely shared for their humor and insight, and he says, "The trouble with learning from experience is that you never graduate." Very simply put, I think we never stop learning, and it is great to keep transforming and learning from new challenges as we go through life. How about you, Jay?
To me, life has no final exam, only new everyday lessons.
And before we end our newscast, please do take the time to like, subscribe, or share PTV's social media pages flashing on your screen right now. It would go a long way, and we would truly appreciate it. And so goes PTV News Tonight's roundup of tomorrow's headline stories. I'm Sharms Espina.
I'm Jay Esteban. Join us again tomorrow on PTV News Tonight.